viewers, and welcome to Zoom viewers. You know the drill by now. For those of you that are new, my name is Martin Cody, co-founder of Cellar Angels. We are a direct-to-consumer wine company focusing exclusively on small, limited production, spectacular wines out of Napa and Sonoma. We have been doing Cellar Angels for 10 years. We've been doing shelter-in-place live virtual tastings with winemakers for what seems like now an eternity. But this, I believe, is week 15. And it's another week where we are delighted because not only do we have spectacular winemakers, but we know them prior to the Cellar Angels introduction. They are a husband and wife team. Cellar Angels is a husband and wife team. So as part of a good half-hour chunk tonight, we're going to get into marital counseling, what it's like to work with your spouse. And I think you're in for a treat because these are two very, very special people living in a very special place. And like many of the small production wineries that got bit by the wine bug, they too had an inspiration epiphany that said, hey, you know what, I want to do this and let's go out there, and had the good fortune of being taken under the wing of some pretty influential people that shepherded them along the path. And they're going to tell us our story, or their story. So we're excited for you all to be here. I hope everyone is safe. Big shout out to the folks in Texas and Florida, because we know you're going to be joining us for the next several weeks. Sorry, but I would like to introduce, it gives me honestly a huge pleasure, friends of ours, tremendous wine people, Adam Hersley and Stacy Sobralski. Adam, why don't you take it away and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you for having us and welcome to our backyard. Yes, our pizza oven. So I'm Adam Hersley, winemaker at Hersley Wines. We produce about 500 to 600 cases per vintage, usually across 3 different varietals. Born and raised New York, moved out to Napa in 2012 to follow the dream of making wine. And Stacy?
Yeah, so Stacy Sobralski Hersley was taken from New York to Napa to live the dream. It was a very cold and snowy January day, and Adam said, let's move to Napa, and I said, I'll be ready in 10 minutes. Pretty much kind of what happened and what went down. It was a January day. We were out a month later, and here we are. Wow.
So and by the way, Elise Nirlov, hello to you. Elise is next week's guest, so I don't want to get the cat out of the bag there, but she's literally the first in the comment line. I'd be remiss if I didn't say welcome to Jeff and Jane Greasy, who just joined on. And Jeff and Jane, by the way, live in Barrington. They have not missed a shelter-in-place event, and I do honestly think this is 14 or 15.
Perfect attendance.
Perfect attendance. So welcome, Jeff and Jane. And Julie Fogarty, hello to you. Thank you for joining. Julie here in downtown Chicago. So Stacy, Adam said, let's move to Napa. And you know, you've got a Chicago background, went to DePaul. Yep. And so we all know what January snowy cold days are like, right?
Yes.
Was that part of the influence, or was it you knew that he was itching to get out here to pursue this?
To take a little bit of a step back, I was very fortunate in my HR career that I got to go and live and work in London, Paris, and Zurich for 18 months and kind of fulfill my dream and check off my dream. And it was time for Adam to have that. And this has always been his dream. So we're in this together, and I think we made a good decision. Sometimes, you know, you wonder, but you know, I think we've made a good decision. And when you are a husband and wife team, you do things together and you figure it out together. So it was time to go.
We actually have a poll question later on talking about husband and wife businesses. So let's save the tricks of the trade for a successful business and successful marriage. For a little
Drinking
bit
lots of wine is one of them.
What's that?
Drinking lots of wine is one of them.
100%, absolutely. Hello, Mike Bilby. Long time no see. Good to have you in the fold this evening. Hope you're all drinking some great wine. Actually, many of you I know are drinking the Hersley wine, and I'm going to show you how people are drinking the Hersley wine. So Adam and Stacy, bear with me for a second here. So on the Cellar Angels website, you can see that there is a custom collection of shelter in place sip virtual tasting kit. So this kit will have the next 6 Friday night wines in it, and each week it changes. So you get 6 wines under $300, gets sent to you. You also get a 6-bottle carrier. So you will be set for the next 6 Friday nights in a row. And this is the wine we're drinking this evening, the 2015 Cabernet Sauvignon from Hersley. It is available because of Cellar Angels, a slightly reduced price. Every little bit helps. And we'll talk about production. Adam just told you what the total production is for the winery. So there's not a lot of this being made, and it's a pretty special place. And as always, it's coming from a pretty special source. So this is how folks have the sip kit. So please go to the Cellar Angels website. You can check that out. It's very easy. Like I said, it changes every single week. And we are fortunate enough to have it in our glass this evening. So this is the 2015 Cabernet, and I'll jump ahead because I'm a huge Cabernet fan. But you're making Cabernet, you make a Sauv Blanc. Was there a wine that got you into that, the fact that you said, you know what, I want to make wine?
So I think what really triggered the wine making was the class at Cornell, the wine tasting class. So got to experience all regions of wine, all varietals, and it gave me appreciation of winemaking. In terms of one specific wine, not sure that there's one that stands out as like, that was the wine that decided to make wine. But the first 2 varietals we made were the Pinot Noir and the Cabernet, because those are 2 of my favorite varietals to me.
Now, the classic Cornell I've actually heard of. And how do you describe Cornell again? Well, how do you describe Ithaca? Come on.
Really cold and ithacating.
No, where's your commercialism? It's gorgeous.
Oh yes, it is gorgeous too. But it's really cold, but it's good for skiing.
It is, but I've had several people, I mean, my sister lives in Ithaca right now, so I've been up to Cornell a bunch of times. And this class I've heard of. They have a pretty, proficient, pretty big wine class. Were you taking it because you were interested in wine, or were you taking it because you're like, yep, easy A?
It's actually one of the most failed classes at Cornell. It's not an easy class.
Right.
The DePaul wine class is the easy class.
DePaul wine class.
I will
I mean,
attest to
the
that.
tasting part's easy, but there are written exams that you have to take, and it's mostly about the regions, the varietals, know what comes from where, and the history of wine. So,
And
I
what
did
year,
not take it just to get an easy A.
what year were you when you took this?
It was my senior year, so I had to be 21. Unless you're in the hotel school, you have to be 21.
Right. And you graduated Cornell with an industrial engineer degree.
Yes.
Engineering, why? Parental influence or just a passion for how things work?
A little bit of both. My father's electrical engineer by education. Always fixing things around the house and learning from him. So yeah, that was what drove me towards, I love science, I love math, so I love cooking, but that's a separate topic.
Little science and math in there, especially baking.
Yeah, and winemaking too. So yeah, the winemaking came on a little bit later than the engineering.
And you actually did your kind of dual job, because you are using the engineering degree, I believe, at that startup it's out of the garage now, and they've done some good things, Google. How long have you been at Google?
16 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not early enough.
But
Little
not
asterisk on
early
that,
enough.
not early enough.
So you weren't like employee 8.
No, I was in the few thousands when I joined, and if I was a little bit earlier, then maybe I still wouldn't be working at Google. But I'm still there.
Right, exactly. And now, Stacy, you guys, I heard there was you met in Paris, because you were off camera when Adam and I were talking, and I'm not certain a romance could ever go bad. I mean, when you meet and your first date is in Paris.
Well,
Well, I can never live up to the first date, though. That's the problem.
that is the, yeah.
That's a very high bar, exactly.
That's a very high bar. No, but we did know each other prior. We knew each other. I was at Google, and that's what had brought me to Europe. But I was at Google. Well, I was living in Paris, came back because I got the job at Google, and then had to go back a couple months later, close up my apartment, get the keys, et cetera, et cetera. I was like, oh, if you're going to be there, I'll show you around. He's just a friend. He's a friend that I know from Google. And here we are, I don't know, 14 years later.
Congratulations. And you move out on a snowy day, you move out to Napa. Now, obviously you tasted a ton of wines in that class, Adam. And you know California has quite a few wine regions. Why specifically Napa Valley?
It's the king of wine. I mean, the Cabernet is my favorite. And if you're gonna make wine, where else would you want to make?
I would disagree with that.
Okay.
Because I do think, I mean, our
Go on, a disagreement.
This goes back to put this in the marital counseling check. We'll come back to that. No, I think
Russian River
and Sonoma make amazing wines.
Sure.
And we did look at Sonoma and we did look at Napa because we truly looked at maybe living in Healdsburg, doing Russian River, all Russian River. But the commute down to the city for Adam was just way too much because you'd have to go from there to Nevada, then Nevada a ferry. And for here, it was a little easier.
Right.
And then it just came down to Cab versus Pinot.
Or
both. And we could have the best of both worlds of the Cab and the Pinot, but a little bit commuter. I don't know if it's even friendly, easier.
Right.
A 2-hour commute instead of a 3-hour commute each way. So, which, it's part of it that goes into this. And it's part of, if we're going to do this, we have to make sacrifices. We all are making sacrifices some way, shape, or form. So that's why we decided Napa, I think, over Sonoma, because we looked at Healdsburg, we looked at Windsor, properties in both places, and then it was just an easier commute, and we found a cute little house on Main Street, and it just kind of all fell into place.
I stand.
By the way, this is their backyard, everyone, and when things do get to open up, I'm not going to put words in Stacy and Adam's mouth, but depending upon how much wine you buy, you can be back here having pizzas. And Adam is quite the chef as well with regards to that. But I'm interested, did you know anybody, either of you, in Napa when you came out? Not a soul.
So we knew a few people when we came out. So working Google from New York, I was going back and forth to Mountain View every 3 weeks working with the product team. So we started going up to Napa and Sonoma probably 8 to 10 years before we moved out here.
Okay.
We would spend weekends up here. We met a lot of people in the industry because we went tasting, and we joined wine clubs, and we went to wine dinners. So we met people here. We not necessarily super close with anybody until we moved out here.
But
And then
every life decision that we've ever made, and it's just kind of been ironic, has all been made at the bar at Cole's Chop House in Napa. It's always just been ironically let's move to Napa, or let's think about Napa. Let's do the wine program. Everything has just kind of happened. We signed our first lease. We signed our mortgage. Everything has all kind of happened at Cole's Chop House. So that's kind of become our nucleus family. And we met the wine director there, and Jim is now one of our absolute best friends, him and his husband, Ted, because of Cole's Chop House.
Okay, well then, sidebar, next time we are in Napa, we have not been to Cole's.
Wow.
Okay. Well,
we can change that.
We will change
Yeah.
that.
55 trips to wine country in the last 14 years, and I've not been to Cole's. Walked by it about 3,000 times, and every time I walk by it, I go, this place has some killer reviews, and every local loves it. And so, yeah, we have to remedy that.
A Chicago girl here thinks the steaks there are better than
Yeah.
Chicago.
Whoa, careful. Hello, this is recorded.
Wait, because they get their beef from Allen Brothers.
Do they really?
Yes. So they're bringing Chicago beef
Some of
So-
the, I don't know.
For
Majority.
those of you that don't know, Allen Brothers is, some 60 some odd years of restaurant fine meat purveyor and out of south side of Chicago. And so now they've got a pretty big retail online presence as well that the everyday consumer can buy from them. So I guess there's some redemption there. You saved yourself.
Right. So you didn't let me finish on that one. So
I didn't want you to harm yourself, so I didn't know you were going. So Cole's Chop House, the decision, you don't know a lot of people. And how do you start walking Main Street, Yountville, up to St. Helena and start talking or knocking on doors and say, hey, I'd like to start making some wine. How does that happen? And who said, okay, I'll help you?
Yeah. So
Oh, internships, I bet.
what's that?
Internships, I bet.
Internship. Yeah. So my first internship was through actually a coworker, knew Ed Kurtzman, who makes some fantastic Pinot Noirs. And I came out and worked harvest down in San Francisco for about a month. I took some time off from Google and worked the harvest then. But then the next harvest, I worked at Joseph Phelps in the cellar there. And we had met Joe, Mr. Phelps, a few years earlier at a wine dinner, and we had become pretty close friends with him. And we've had dinners with him in New York, and we had dinners and wine up on his balcony. And one day he had said to me, "You're an engineer, you love to cook, you should make wine." And I'm like, okay, yeah. And he's like, "I'll call UC Davis for you, get you into the winemaking program, and you'll go from there." So that started the journey while I was still in New York. And
Really? Okay, so back up a second.
Yeah.
Because he said you love to cook.
Yeah.
So how did he know you loved to cook? And how does someone, college, okay, I didn't cook in college. Mac and cheese, 29 cents from Albertsons. There wasn't a lot of cooking in college.
No.
I didn't go to a culinary school like, Cornell in the hotel and restaurant management and those sorts of things. But where did the passion for cooking come from? And how did Joe know that?
So Mom, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Mom's cooking was not my favorite, and I took over the cooking when I was maybe 10 or 11.
Adam, if you want to spend the holidays with us next year, since you're going to be ostracized, no worries. Come on in.
Well, we now do weekly cooking with the family, so we're teaching everyone how to cook.
we do cooking
over Google Hangout. So
with the nieces and nephew. We do
Yeah.
cooking with Uncle Adam and the grandparents that everybody joins in on Sundays. So
Oh, nice.
they're all learning to cook
Yeah.
from Uncle Adam.
But so Joe, I think it was probably over dinners that we've had. He was stopped on his way back from Provence. He stopped in New York City. We had dinner at Barbuto, I believe, and just chatting about life and what we love. And
Were you pinching yourself at all? That's pretty impressive to just be sitting there. I'm having dinner with Joe Phelps and we're talking cooking.
yeah, so how it came up, I think he had come back and they're just put in a brand new kitchen in his house in Provence, and he didn't know how to use the oven. And I offered to come over and show him how to use the oven. That never happened. We never got that trip, but
Actually,
But I love the
It's
sales.
awesome.
I love the sales aspect of you always be closing. If you're going to need some help with that oven in Provence, I'm your guy.
I think we were talking about, he's like, you should really come over. He was very sweet. And and God rest his soul. He's very, very, very missed. He was a very kind, very approachable, just a good soul. And he really loved Adam a lot and just really taught him and took him into the fold, which is good to have that as a mentor.
Well, and then I think, Adam, you could probably illuminate a picture of what working in the cellar is like, because I think people sometimes have this grandiose, oh my goodness, you're working at a winery. And so why don't you enlighten people about working in a cellar and Not all charcuterie and cheese trays, is it?
No, it's definitely not. I mean, I got to experience a cellar like Joseph Phelps. I've also in a cellar where we're making production of a few hundred cases per varietal. Obviously, huge different scale. Forklifts and ginormous tanks, wine going everywhere, coming home purple. Fingers are definitely purple from about September through, we finished harvest probably around November, but my fingers will stay purple through January or February just because working with the grapes, my fingers are stained. I'm usually in the winery during harvest at 6 or 6:30 in the morning because I go to the winery before I go to the office.
Right.
And we make the wine in San Francisco because of that commute. So I'm commuting down, going to the winery, and then going to the office in normal times. This is obviously not normal times. So we'll figure out this year.
Yeah, exactly. Remember normal times? That was fun.
Yes, it was.
I keep saying, what day is it?
Oh, yes, I'm with you. All right, I'm going to throw up a poll question.
Uh-oh.
So this is the first, this is the marital counseling question.
Okay. Oh dear. Wait.
All right, so now this can be directed towards both of you. So both Cellar Angels and Hersley are husband-wife businesses. What advice would you give other couples thinking of entering business together? Do it. It's awesome and strengthens the marriage. Run for the hills fast. If you do it, make certain the business is a vice, wine, CBD. You get it. So let's see don't answer this question yet, you two. I want to see what the audience is going to say. So we'll give it, we've got 38%, 53% in. Put your charcuterie and cheese down, people. Get over to your keyboards. A couple more, 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. So before I share the results, what would you two say?
Yes. All of the above.
All of the
All of the
that
above.
wasn't a choice.
The diplomacy is off the charts.
That wasn't a choice.
No, but there's yes, do it, but you have to know what goes into it. Regardless if it's a vice or not, you have to be able to still look at the person at the end of the day, because your relationship is more important than any business.
Adam?
She answers better than I do. I mean, I would say yes, do it in something that you love. So probably that last answer.
Very good. 50% of the audience said, yeah, do it. Strengthens the marriage. Those, by the way, are spouses that aren't working together. So
But they're in quarantine together, so same difference.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. They are in quarantine together. It is the same difference. And it is, and Stacy, that's a great point, because at the end of the day, you still have to be married, and you still have to live with the person and look at the person and not kill the person. At least that's what Denise says. So, but I agree with her. So talk about the 2015 that's in people's glasses, and talk about I mean, you're right. If you're in Napa, you have to make a Cabernet. So how do you determine the fruit you're going to secure, the manner in which you're going to make it? You know, how do you draw from the science background that you have, the mentors that you had in Joe Phelps, and the vision that you're after in crafting a Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa?
a lot of questions. I'll try to cover some of those, maybe not all. So how do you find the right grapes? A lot of that is relationships and understanding the grapes, who's farming them, where's the property at. Our first couple vintages, if anyone's had them, were from Coombsville. We had worked with the owner there, small property. The practices we weren't agreeing with. And in 2015, we had the opportunity to work with a new vineyard, Lazar Vineyard, which is actually a half mile to the west of our house. And it's a small 2-acre property owned by a lovely couple. And we've become friends with them. And we got the opportunity to basically dictate what goes on in that vineyard. We're in the vineyards all the time. We get to pick when we want to pick. We're tasting, understanding where we're at. And it's a small vintage. We produced 108 cases of the 2015 Lazar Cabernet.
Okay.
100% Cabernet. And what we really try to do is showcase what the earth gives us. We try not to dictate the wine too much, modify or add. There's no blending involved here. It's 100% cab from this one vineyard.
Is it also 100% cab from this one vintage?
It is 100% cab from this one vintage as well.
And I'm going to need your help to show people where this is, this vineyard.
Yeah.
So just for fun, I threw up Africa.
Yeah, we're not in Africa.
This is Jeff and Jane Greasy's favorite part of the show. They love Google Earth. Okay, so now I can zoom in.
Please do.
Kind of about right on it. Let's see.
So that's 20.
Oh, no, the other way.
No,
Wait.
The other way?
we're going towards the mountains.
Towards the mountains.
Which mountains?
No, the
Sonoma.
going
Napa,
towards
between Napa and
going
Sonoma.
west.
Yeah, there. It's right off of Dry Creek Road, and it's a small property, probably a little south of there.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that's it. The round one. Isn't that the round one? Right. I think right where you're up a little bit.
Yeah.
Nope, up. The really green one. I think
No,
that might be it.
No, that's not it.
It sounds like me telling Denise, scratch my back. Up, over, left.
I know, totally.
We probably have to zoom in a little more for me to.
But
Yeah.
this is Oak Knoll, right?
Yes, that's Oak Knoll, and our house is just on the other side of the main strip there, where it says Salvador.
Yeah,
Right-
we're
right
there.
We're right over there, and
Yeah.
yeah. So if you go pretty much straight across towards the hills is where our vineyard is.
And so how did you find this vineyard source?
So this was through Ed Kurtzman, who where my first internship was, is actually where I still make my wine. So I work in the same facility that Ed produces his wines, and Ed had a connection with Amanda, and we were given the opportunity to split the vineyard, Ed and I, and we decided let's go in and make this wine.
Outstanding. And is there, and Stacy, I know you're assistant winemaker, so I don't want to leave you out of this. And is there stylistically anything that you two are after so that when people have it in the glass, you know, what is captivating to you? What do you want the experience to be?
I think Adam kind of said, you know, we kind of give what the earth gives us. We put out what the earth gives us. And I actually like when each vintage is different. I think that makes a wine unique. I think it makes a vintner unique. If it tastes the same every year, you get bored.
No, and we've had that discussion on many of these SIP events where that's kind of the pride and joy, and one of the hallmarks of Cellar Angels partners like yourself is that these are limited production wineries. You're going to have vintage variation, which is a great thing to experience, which is why all of us love vertical so much. So yeah, you're spot on.
Yep. And I think it's just whatever the earth gives us. I mean, you can tell when it's, you know, rainier season, or you can tell when it's been a hotter climate, or less water, less rain. And I like that. I like that it's different. I like that it's unique, because we're unique and different. That's for
So
sure.
the 2015 vintage was a much smaller vintage for us. We did about 108 cases. Then next year, we got a lot more fruit from the same vineyard. And I think we had about 140 or 150 cases. Just Mother Earth. And
There was more rain that
More
year.
rain. The drought was a little bit behind us at that point, so we were able to get more fruit, and so it happens.
And I'm seeing some comments, and Mike Bilby, who had this wine, I don't know if he decanted it, but he says the cab is opening up nicely, very smooth fruit. So a joy there. And Jeff and Jane Greasy want to hear mine and Denise's answer on working together. So that will not be available for primetime viewing. Jeff and Jane also have a son-in-law that works with Google here in Chicago. So it's kind of like old family home week,
Nice.
which is shocking because what, Google's only got about 90, 100 employees. I mean, it's, it's really, they've done well.
In the Napa office, we have one. So.
Yeah, exactly. So the cab, I get, you have to make cab.
Yeah.
Where did the Pinot love come from? Stacy Richards.
Well, I mean, I love Pinot. Pinot was also what I first started making with the internships with Ed. He primarily makes Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
Right.
So something I loved. Stacy, you wanna chime in? And
Yeah, Stacy, where did your
I
love
think
for Pinot come in?
I think the Pinot challenges him a little bit more.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I think, not that cab's an easy thing to make, but you kind of roll with the punches with the cab. You can't really roll with the punches with a Pinot. You've got a very short picking window. You've got very strict things that you can do. Like, and our Pinots are, again, 100%. We don't add any red number 5 or Zin or Syrah or anything to make them a little darker. But I think it kind of, I like it because it challenges him and in a good way. And I think, it just doesn't become just a monotonous thing. And he pumps out some pretty decent Pinots.
Yeah, now, it's a torturous grape to try to make wine from. It is not easy. So I'd be curious, Stacy, where your love, Chicago's not known for a big Pinot drinking city. So I'm curious where that fondness for Pinot Noir came from.
Chicago. Carmichael Steakhouse.
Okay, that makes sense.
Was my go-to neighborhood place, which I understand it's gone, but that was my neighborhood place, and they used to have some really great Pinots. And to me, Pinot was my jam.
I like it. All right, I'm going to show another jam for you. Most people don't know that if there is anything such as reincarnation, I haven't shared this with too many people, but I want to come back as Adam and Stacy's dog.
Oh, she just walked by. Should I go get her?
Go find her.
So this is May.
We don't see May. We see your files.
Oh, come on. Why, where's May? Thank you, Adam, for that.
No
Because
worries. Technical difficulties. That's part of the show.
why would it not show May?
We're bringing May over, so
I'm looking for her backpack.
and you don't need her backpack.
Well, you know what's in her backpack.
It's okay.
Oh, wait, no, they're not here.
You can just show that.
Make certain I don't hear.
Here's May. Oh, there's May.
And here's May.
And here's May.
So now every winery has a dog, or every good winery has a dog. Not many of them are as popular. Not many of them have their own Instagram account, I believe, as May does. May is everywhere. This dog is the cutest animal on the planet, potentially, or certainly top 5. And you two, I don't want to say you spoil May. That's not.
She's loved.
She's well loved.
She's loved.
She's well loved.
May had a very, very rough start in life.
No, and you guys have given her a wonderful genesis from that moment forward, because she flies with you, she vacations with you, she bike rides with you, she walks with you, she goes everywhere with you. And I'm telling you, every winery has a dog, but I think May is one of the coolest, and she's easily one of the most photogenic because it's the ears.
It's the ears.
It's the ears. If I can get Adam to hold her, and I'll get something to. If she thinks it's CHEESE, she will.
And now she has a wine named after her.
You want some cheese? Do you want some cheese? Where's those ears? Let's see your cheese. And she's not going to do it because
She doesn't pose anymore.
She's not working for scale, you guys.
Only for sushi.
only
Only for sushi.
She loves her sushi.
But May is an absolute delight. If you guys, and I encourage you to follow Adam and Stacy on Facebook, communicate with them, you will see May and you too will fall in love. I'm going to throw up another poll question because it's fun.
She's giving the ears.
All right. So, audience, pay attention. Adam and Stacy, this is kind of a tough one. If you could serve your wine to anyone, and it has to be a non-relative, living or deceased, who would it be and why? So, and I would like the audience to answer what you think Adam and Stacy are going to answer. And I threw Einstein in there because he has a thing or two about engineering. But I'd be curious because I don't know the answer to this. And this is kind of one of those desert island type of scenarios. I'm going to give another 10 seconds or so to see what the answers come in. Ooh, good. A lot of late movement. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, what do you got? I need you two to answer first.
I would say I'd be a party of Cellar Angels wine people in Napa and a pizza oven and just a darn good time, not social distancing.
Okay, and I'll even give you an out because that one was a freebie. But even if there was an other, and see, here's the interesting thing. Facebook only allows 3 answers. So we keep the answers to 3 so we can stream the questions and answers on Facebook. Zoom, obviously, as you both know, you can have like 9 answers. So if you could, and this could be different for each of you, if you wanted to sit down and serve one of your wines with anybody living, deceased, famous, not famous, who would it be and why?
Well, I would say one for sure would be Joe Phelps.
Mm-hmm.
We want it to come full circle and share a bottle of what Adam has created because of his guidance.
That was mine. So.
No,
Yeah.
Look at that.
I think people said Cellar Angels. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to have that pizza party after all.
There we
All
go.
right, come on out.
But I like the Joe Phelps thing, and I never met Joe. So it's another one of those, there's probably a dozen or so folks in the Valley that I didn't get a chance to meet before they passed and feel, less as a result. I would love to have met them. So I think that's a very honorable tribute and really speaks a lot of the two of you. And I think that would be a lot of fun to have happen. So
And I think we've had the privilege of having our Pinot with Ed. So Ed
Right.
had taught Adam how to make Pinot. So we've had that opportunity. And I feel like we're just kind of missing that piece. Just for it to kind of come full circle.
that'd be kind of cool. So came out in 2012. It's now 2020. You've been at this 8 years. Give me a goal, a horizon, when are Adam and Stacy kind of looking at each other going, we've got this is good. We've got this dialed in. This is exactly what success is. This is how we're fulfilled. What does that look like?
I don't know, to be honest. I think COVID has thrown a big wrench in a lot of people's plans. We've got a pandemic on our hands. Restaurants are not buying. Customers are not buying. We're small. We're 500 cases per vintage. Cab, we can hold it back. That's not. But some of the like rosés aren't going to last forever. Some of those types of wines. And given the state of the economy, I don't know what harvest is going to look like. We've committed to the Pinot because we're in a long-term contract, but I don't know what the rest is going to look like. And that's just an honest answer. And this is the truth from a mom and pop shop, and you don't get any more mom and pop than this. I'm not saying buy our wine, but these are when you are in Safeway or Albertsons or whatever, and you're looking at the big brand names, this isn't going to affect them, but it does affect the folks that you represent at Cellar Angels. Pretty much probably everybody. So I don't know what's going to hold for the future. We don't want to stop, obviously, but we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. If this pandemic spikes again in the fall, if it goes into next year, we don't know. And it really affects the small mom and pop wineries.
Yeah, and then, Adam, I don't know if you have anything to add, because that was pretty spot on. And there's no easy answers, obviously, but I'm curious. Sans pandemic. If there wasn't a pandemic, what does success look like in the winemaking business for Adam and Stacy?
People are happy, they're enjoying the wine, and it's selling out. It's not even about selling out. If people are happy and they're enjoying it, and I see pictures of our wine at a restaurant, or somebody sends a picture like, hey, we're enjoying this spot, that's what success is. It's not about making money, because we're not going to be rich. We just want to break even. Like, that's it. Like, that's why we have our day jobs. But I think success is just seeing people happy, and enjoying wine in good health and with good friends and family. Kind of easy, for me at least.
Yeah, you're right.
No, and it's we have this running joke at Cellar Angels. Everyone says, "How was the year?" I'm like, "Well, there was less red numbers this year." Our accountant is happy, but you're right. You're in it for the passion, not necessarily the profit. Because when you're a limited production winery, you're not looking at 3 to 4 commas of revenue and dollars and stuff like that. But I think you're both romantics in certain ways, and so you're right. So the fact that someone takes a picture and sends it to you or posts it on Facebook, and here I am at the beach with my Hersley Sauv Blanc, and it's rocking, and it's 90 degrees, and this is awesome. I mean, how good does that feel?
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's what keeps us doing what we're doing.
That is fantastic. Now, pandemic, not aside, what is going on with any rollbacks? I hear some things with regards to people come visit. Yeah, maybe we should not come visit. Should they just order wine online and you'll call them and say thank you and have a conversation? What's the new normal?
I mean, for us right now, there's no on-site tastings that are being done. We do have a place normally that we can do tastings, but it is closed at the moment. And so, yeah, it's pretty much shipping wine, happy to do video conferences and do virtual wine tastings. We do have a virtual pack available, so you can buy one of each of our wines, and we could do a tasting like that. Hopefully this relaxes and doesn't continue to spike like we're seeing. And we can do tastings here in Napa, because we love to see people and we love to interact here in Napa.
And I will tell people that Stacy and Adam are both really, really social. Well, Stacy's social media savant. May actually has more Instagram followers than Adam. But Stacy, I don't want to put you on the spot, and you've been so kind to us over the years that sometimes, and Jeff Creasy, you've experienced this firsthand. Sometimes when Cellar Angels blows through the valley and we send out some text to people and a meetup and things like that, Stacy comes out and meets and pours wine and socializes and has a great time. And it's funny because Jeff and Jane, who I know are going to be good fans of yours and friends, Jeff basically says, "It's so worrying to hear this, Stacy. Thank you for your openness and honesty. We have come to believe that the very finest wines in Napa and Sonoma are from small producers like you guys. We need you."
Thank
That
you.
means a lot. Thank
So
you.
Jeff, thank you for sharing that.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably as honest as they come. I mean, that's my HR in me, but yeah, I don't want to be like it's peaches and roses right now, because it's for no one, regardless if you're in wine or you're in hospitality or food or sales, and not just the wine industry, but across every industry. We're all in very challenging times. So we don't know. We just have Look for the best.
And on that note, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping. We still have no clothing sponsors, and I'm looking right at you, Brooks Brothers. So, and also, I'd be remiss if I didn't again call out LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and now I'm going to add Carmelo Anthony to the list because all three of them are alleged wine fans. Melo actually has an Instagram channel or program where he actually does wine with people. So any of the Angel Network wants to kind of influence those three gentlemen, household names. I know we don't have a snowball's chance and whatever, but just some housekeeping there. But that would be good to get in touch with them. And honestly, not kidding about the clothing sponsors. I'll wear LL Bean. I'll wear winery swag. Victoria's Secret. Thank you, Denise, for putting that in as a plug. You do not want me in Victoria's Secret.
Oh, I didn't want to see that. Not in my backyard. You can do it in
Not in my backyard. There's been people arrested for less in that backyard.
Probably. Yeah.
No,
Is
no
there-
arrests in my backyard. None so far.
We do have the police lieutenant across the street, so he does kind of keep his eye out.
That is a good person to have. Is there anything on the horizon that you want to make that you're not making?
Ooh.
So,
I mean, I got my wish.
yeah, Stacy got her wish with the May Rosé. So we made a Rosé of Merlot.
And Merlot.
And this year we're making a Merlot, 100% red Merlot. So I do love a Cab Franc. It is a much harder wine to make, and it's also, there's not as many grapes. But the Merlot is the big new change for us. So I'm excited to bottle that probably next spring and get that out probably the following fall.
And where are you sourcing that fruit from? Because you have two immediate fans on this end of the camera. We are strong, long-loving advocates of Merlot. So can't wait to buy that from you.
So this is from a small vineyard just south of the town of Calistoga, right off of 29.
Nice.
So the 2018 May Rosé was the first Merlot we made. We only made it as Rosé. The 2019, we did half of it as Rosé and half of it as Merlot.
Okay. And is there any type of, I mean, usually the Merlot dominant folks have a right bank influence or, you know, that Pomerol type of aromatic, perfumey depth, Chateau Cheval Blanc. Is there anything, or even in the Valley, a great Merlot producer where you are thinking to yourself, yeah, that stuff rocks. I would like to make something like that. Do you have a benchmark that you're kind of going after?
You made some good Merlots.
Yeah, Keenan makes some amazing Merlots.
Yes, they do. And interestingly enough, they've been making great Merlots for about 30 years.
Right.
That's more hillside fruit. I mean, honestly, I wasn't sure what we'd get from this Merlot, so it was a small experiment because, as we discussed earlier, experiments with wine can be super expensive. So we're only making about 75 cases this first year. So trying to see what this vineyard can give us. It made amazing rosé. And then next year, we're in talks to, or this coming vintage, expand on the Merlot, depending on how we're seeing it progress. I haven't tasted in a couple months because I haven't been to the winery. We are bottling our Pinot and our Cab in 3 weeks. The weekend of July 18th, 17th, her birthday weekend. So she gets to work in the winery on her birthday.
See, that is the sexy part of winemaking. You're in the winery, bottling, sweating, in a mask.
Happy birthday. Grab that hose and let's go.
Exactly.
In a mask.
In a mask. In a
In a
bottle.
mask.
But so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to expand the Merlot program this coming harvest, assuming we're in a place where we can continue and do the rosé
Right.
with a little bit more Merlot.
Okay, so you made 75 cases of the 19, and if you were able to extend and grow the 20, what would that be?
I mean, the vineyard has capabilities of another 100 or so cases.
Okay.
I don't know if I'll jump to that right away, but we'll see. It's also dependent on COVID situation. I might make a little less rosé because I know that's not going to last as long, and make a
Right.
little bit more Merlot because that can sit a little bit longer, and let's go from there.
Well,
This little vineyard is kind of, just a quick little note on this vineyard. The lovely, lovely couple that own the vineyard, we didn't know them. They came through a friend of ours who got us hooked up. But when we did May Rosé, the lady was so excited because her mom's name is May. So it kind of just seemed like it all kind of happened the right way. And I think her mom had just passed. Or was ill, so it was kind of a nice little, not only an ode to our little May, but her mom May as well. So
As she stares at us from.
and not that this is relevant, I have 3 irrelevant points. My grandmother's name is May, so there's a tie-in. Okay, maybe that one was relevant. Sean Manning is joining us from Colorado and commented that Martin looks good in his Speedo. Which is alarming in and of itself that A, he would comment that, or B, he would know. But Sean, thank God Sean knows a lot of things prior to smartphones, because Sean was my college roommate for far too many years.
Ooh.
nice.
So there's that. I'm looking forward to the Merlot, but I would be remiss if I didn't tell people the rosé that is produced by Hersley is also off the charts. And it's to me, and I'll echo kind of Jeff Greasy's points about the small producer. There's something about the passion, the desire, the romance, the dedication that you bring to the table that is unlike anything in any other industry. And so we are the recipients of that drive, dedication, passion, just hunger that you have to produce something. So thank you for that. And I encourage people that are watching, chatting, listening, do yourselves a favor. And whether you get it from us and grab the cab on the Cellar Angels website, or you just go direct to Hersley and buy the Sauv Blanc, buy the Pinot that Stacy was the catalyst for, or you get the rosé, get something. Because this is the type of stuff and the action that helps these small producers. So we want to be the change in the world that we want. And if we want these small producers around, let's start voting and let's start, buying and buy with our clicks type of thing. All of us are lucky to be where we are and fortunate. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to just sit in your backyard and chat with you two. I do have one more poll question. So this one,
I'm going to piggyback on that. When our wines are offered on Cellar Angels, please buy through Cellar Angels, because you're not only helping us, but you're helping so many charities and charities of your choice. It's a win-win.
Thank you for that. All right. Which of the following is the most challenging in winemaking? Finding the perfect fruit source at reasonable prices, the uncertainty of Mother Nature, managing the regulatory headaches of the sales channel. Oh, and I don't have D, because D could be all of the above, right?
Yeah.
And what I want to, I'll let the audience answer, because we've got 61% of the vote in. But what I really want to try to find out and tease out of you, Adam, is, and Stacy, chime in, is that aha moment where you're in this and you're like, oh shit, I did not know this was going to be that, or those types, because I know there might be a few epiphanies type of stuff. So I'd be curious, what have you come to realize where once the romance subsided, you realize, holy God, this is a business, and this was a lot harder, this particular area, than I ever thought. So I'll share with you what the audience said. Interestingly enough, no one picked finding the perfect fruit source.
There's
Mother-
between C as well.
Mother Nature won out over managing the regulatory channel.
Yeah, I mean, Mother Nature certainly has caused lots of issues in the winemaking process. We've had the fires, we've had droughts. Every vintage is different based on what Mother Nature gives us. But I mean, the sales channels, that's also one that, like, winemaking, yes, that sounds so romantic. Selling the wine and dealing with the regulatory issues of every state, not my favorite part of the business.
Stace, anything to add?
No, it's I mean, he always seems to pull the rabbit out of the hat every vintage, regardless if it's tough or not. I think it just kind of is a testament to his abilities of science and math that goes over my head, because I would have thrown in the boots and the gloves and said forget it. But he seems to kind of, you know, he figures it out. So for me, it's definitely the sales. I mean, alcohol is the second most regulated industry in the country, only behind nuclear. So it's, you know, we can't ship to every state. And a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of, regardless if you're big guy, small guy, you can't ship to some states, and that's a challenge, and you have to have license, and for a small producer, it's a challenge because we can't afford a license in every state.
Right.
So we eat the shipping costs when we have to go through our distribution center. We don't pass it along to the consumer, but we want you to be able to get the wine. So we eat the whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's funny. A lot of people don't know that with regards to filling out a license for each state, and so just I, with regards, because more knowingness will feel, and misery loves company. So a small limited production winery has to fill out an application for a state license with each state. Each state charges a certain amount for that license. Each state has requirements for that license with regards to the information you have to submit and the frequency of which you have to submit that information. Some of them require monthly reports. Some of them require quarterly reports. And so when you are trying to manage, let's just say 35 states, you're not even interested in 45, which allowed legal DTC shipping, 35 states, it requires software programs, a full-time staff, endless amounts of accounting and people and analysts looking at certain things. Yes, Adam.
Or me,
Or Adam.
Right.
So it is a mind-boggling, archaic process that is unlike any other industry. You know, the dairy farmer doesn't have this problem. The Allen Brothers meat doesn't have this problem. So we have to figure out a way to solve it. And we've got a Band-Aid on the solution right now with Cellar Angels, but at some point in time, from a regulatory standpoint, we need to get rid of the three-tier system entirely in a certain capacity and change the way. That was fine in 26 or so when there was 9 wineries. There's now 10,000 plus in the United States, and it's not a good system. So ending on that high note, I want to go ahead. Yeah, I pour more wine, exactly. I want to thank the Mannings, the Bilbys, Nick Schramm. I missed you. Sorry, sir. All of the folks that joined, Julie Fogarty. Hang on, the studio is telling me in my ear. Corey and Renee Smith, Jeff and Jane Greasy. John Visley was on. John, you know, from the Sonoma side of the mountain.
Yes.
Can't do any of this without all of you. So we're kind of, pandemic and wine, we're kind of all in this together. So let's make certain we're good to one another. Let's make certain that we drink great wine and we skip the store-bought stuff. And really, let's just look out for one another. And we do it with wine. You can do it any way you want. We can't do this without you, consumers. So we're humbled by that. Next, we've got Elise Nirlov, who is really, her father and her are another father-daughter team, family run, with regards to Elkhorn Peak Winery in the southern part of Napa. And just we're humbled to be able to introduce these wineries to you. And we again, can't do it without you. We hope you continue to come back. I know Florida, Texas, and South Carolina will be here next week because they have nowhere else to go.
And Arizona, I think, and probably a lot of California too.
And Arizona and California. So Adam, Stacy, thank you so much for spending some of your Friday night with us. You guys are killing it. The wines speak for themselves. Your hospitality is really stuff to be modeled. And we can't thank you enough for sharing the evening.
Thank you.
for
And we
having
hope
us.
to have you all out here at that pizza oven that Martin's in front of right now, enjoying pizza and wine and in good health.
Yes.
Thank you. And cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Be safe.